Welcome to WhiskyCast, cask strength conversation featuring news and interviews from the world of whiskey. I'm Mark Gillespie, and this is episode number 1135 for November 16th, 2025. Coming up in a few minutes.
But there's some fantastic non-aged whiskies as well, and it frustrates me immensely when people don't explore them. And I'm not just speaking about Tamdhu. There's some absolute crackers of whiskies there that people are put off because they don't see a number on it in terms of an age. And we need to get past that as an industry. We need to educate the consumer. We need to educate the consumer that it's not all about colour, it's not all about age, it's actually about flavours.
Sandy McIntyre is the distillery manager at Scotland's Tamdhu distillery and works his magic using exclusively sherry-seasoned casks to create Tamdhu's single malts. He'll join us for a tasting of the new Tamdhu 21-year-old and a couple of surprises on this week's WhiskyCast In-Depth. I'll have my tasting notes for the Tamdhu 21 in the What I'm Tasting This Week department. We're celebrating the 20th anniversary of WhiskyCast this week, and throughout the show you'll hear from longtime listeners sharing their memories of WhiskyCast through the years. The news is next on this week's WhiskyCast, whiskey's longest-running and most awarded podcast series.
Gifting season's right around the corner. Luckily, you don't have to overthink this one. Dewar's 12-year-old, finished in first fill, unrinsed bourbon casks. It's the kind of gift that makes you look good while making them feel special. Stick around, I'll explain.
Crafted with time, shaped by nature, perfected by generations. From Yamazaki to Hibiki to Hakushu, every drop of House of Suntory whiskey is a reflection of where it comes from. House of Suntory, this is Japanese whiskey.
Enjoy responsibly. Suntory Whiskey Single Malt and Blended Japanese Whiskey. 43% alcohol by volume. Copyright 2025 Suntory Global Spirits Import Company, Chicago, Illinois.
Let's begin, as always, with the week's news. It's brought to you by the Dalmore. Last week I mentioned that Diageo had not yet named a new CEO. Of course, less than 24 hours later, the drinks giant announced that former Tesco CEO Sir Dave Lewis will be joining the company January 1st. Known as Drastic Dave for his deep cuts in turning Tesco around, Lewis takes over at a time when Diageo's sales are flat, and the company is in the middle of interim CEO Nick Gengiani's cost-cutting campaign. Gengiani will return to his job as CFO when Lewis arrives. How about some good news? The Irish Whiskey Association reports tourism traffic at the country's distilleries has returned to pre-pandemic levels, with more than 1 million visitors during the year ending in June. Visitor traffic is up 23% year over year. Jameson Distillery, Bow Street in Dublin topped the 5 most visited distilleries, followed by the Old Bushmills Distillery in County Antrim, Northern Ireland, the Teeling Whiskey Company in Dublin, the Middleton Distillery Experience, and the Shed Distillery. The Irish Whiskey Awards were handed out the other night at Teeling's, and the Ecklandville Distillery took home Whiskey of the Year honors. Its Dunbill's 21-year-old Palo Cortado sherry cask finish was named Ireland's best whiskey for the second straight year, and third time in 4 years. The winner was selected in blind judging by members of 10 different Irish whiskey clubs. The International Wine and Spirits Competition handed out its producer trophies this week as well. Ardbeg won Scotch Whiskey Producer of the Year, while Sazerac won the Bourbon Producer of the Year award. Canada's Black Fox Farm and Distillery won the Worldwide Whiskey Producer of the Year trophy. We also want to send out our congratulations to Billy Abbott of the Whiskey Exchange. He's this year's Spirits Communicator of the Year. Now for some sad news. One of Louisville's top bourbon bars has closed its doors for good. The Silver Dollar held a yard sale Saturday to sell off bar memorabilia and bottles. Owner Brian Downing told the Lexington Herald-Leader his closing is a canary in the coal mine for the industry, and with fewer people visiting these days, he decided to pull the plug now. We have sadly removed the Silver Dollar from our Great Whiskey Bars page at whiskycast.com. New whiskeys to talk about this week. The year's final batch of Booker's Bourbon is out now. It's nicknamed Phantom Pipes for the network of mysterious plumbing in the rafters of the Booker No Distillery that Booker tinkered with over the years. It's a 7-year-old bourbon coming in at 63.2% ABV and carries a recommended retail price of $100 a bottle. Diageo's Blade and Bow brand is out with its oldest release yet. The 30-year-old bourbon was created from 42 barrels that have been maturing at the Stitzel-Weller distillery in Louisville since 1993. It's available for $1,200 a bottle at the distillery's Garden and Gun Club and select retailers. Buffalo Trace is adding a new full-proof Sazerac rye to its range, following the introduction earlier this year of Sazerac Rye 100 Proof. The new 125 proof bourbon is dubbed full proof because it's bottled at the same strength it entered the bottle at. Sazerac Rye full proof carries a recommended retail price of $40 a bottle. The Virginia Distillery Company and Goose Island Brewing have reunited for a second edition of the Brewers Coalition American Single Malt. It's finished in Goose Island's Bourbon County Stout casks. For the first time, there will be a single barrel version alongside the regular release. No word on pricing. Turning now to Scotch whiskies, the Glenallachie has released its second Lunar New Year single malt. It's the year of the Firehorse coming up in February, and Billy Walker created the malt from whiskeys matured in PX and Oloroso sherry casks, along with Appalachian Virgin Oak. It'll be available primarily in Asia, though it will also be available at the distillery and the Glenallachie's online shop for £78.99 a bottle. The Dalmore has unveiled this year's edition of its Cask Curation series. The Red Wine Cask Edition features 24, 34, and 43-year-old malts, finished in 2023 Grenache Noir, Syrah, and Mourvedre wine casks from Chateau Montredon. Only 150 sets will be available worldwide at a recommended retail price of $47,750 each. We should note that the Dalmore is a sponsor of WhiskyCast. Tomatin is releasing a new budget-friendly 10-year-old single malt. It's available through Amazon and Waitrose stores in the UK now for £42 a bottle. And finally, Glencadam Distillery is celebrating its 200th anniversary this year with the opening of its new visitors center. The center will offer guided tours, tutored tastings, and an interactive exhibit tracing Glencadam's history from 1825 to today. The center will be open Thursdays through Mondays for tours, with the retail shop open 7 days a week. You can keep up with the latest whiskey news all week long at whiskycast.com and in the WhiskyCast community app. The news is brought to you by the Dalmore.
Hello, Richard Patterson here, Master Distiller, Master Blender for the Dalmore. You know, whenever the team and I are in the world sharing our exceptional single malt, we like to keep in touch with Mark Gillespie and the latest news from WhiskyCast.
Congratulations to Mark and Christine for making the podcast such a success. My name is Noel, and I was born in Ireland but now I live in San Diego. Even though my parents owned 2 bars in Ireland, which I worked in from about the age of 13, I only got into whiskey about 4 years ago. I shortly thereafter discovered the podcast and went back through the archives and listened to each episode. For me, the podcast has been a great source of information, and the most interesting thing is hearing directly from the people who are involved in the various spirits worldwide. There is a camaraderie in the industry, and I feel WhiskyCast has been very much a part of that. It's a happy 20th anniversary, and I'm looking forward to each and every episode that is yet to come. Slaughter.
It's Tyrone Cody. Hi, Mark. I'm listening from Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. And you and I met a number of years ago back at the New Brunswick Spirits Festival. You asked a couple of questions. The first is, what did you get or what did you learn from WhiskyCast? I'd say a number of things, including the latest bottlings to look out for, interesting news which helped with our club trip planning as we went to Scotland, book recommendations which made good Christmas gifts over the years, introductions to industry people that our club had a chance to meet when we were on the ground in Scotland and or during conference calls that we held during COVID. Also whiskey drinks, New York Sour Anyone, whiskey bars, the Dead Rabbit in New York, and Really also enjoyed the introduction to other whiskey enthusiasts that we meet through the WhiskyCast community app. So congratulations, Mark. Happy 20th anniversary.
Let's open up the calendar now and see what's happening around the world of whiskey. I'll be in Fredericton, New Brunswick this week for the New Brunswick Spirits Festival, which gets underway on Tuesday night and runs through Saturday. This weekend is also the Manchester Whiskey Festival in Manchester, England, and the Whiskey Exchange has its annual Whiskey of the Year tasting Thursday night at its Great Portland Street shop in London. Teeling Whiskey Company in Dublin has a Teeling whiskey tasting experience with master distiller Alex Chasko coming up on the 26th. And a reminder, if you're planning on attending the Victoria Whiskey Festival in Victoria, British Columbia in January, tickets and hotel packages go on sale Friday for out-of-town attendees through the Hotel Grand Pacific. And tickets go on general sale Sunday the 23rd at the Strath in downtown Victoria. If you're organizing a whiskey event, let us know about it. We'll add it to the calendars at whiskycast.com and in the WhiskyCast community app. Japanese whiskey began with Shinjiro Tori's vision to reflect the true nature and spirit of Japan. The House of Suntory was founded on these principles, guided by generations of craftsmanship that have transformed time, nature, and precision into something greater than the sum of its parts. Pure waters from the mountains of Hakushu, Mizunara oak shaped by decades of patience, a blending philosophy rooted in harmony. These aren't just techniques, they're a way of thinking, a quiet pursuit of balance and depth. From the layered complexity of Yamazaki to the crisp vibrancy of Hakushu and the elegant artistry of Hibiki, every whiskey is a reflection of where it comes from and the hands that shape it. House of Suntory. This is Japanese whiskey.
Enjoy responsibly. Suntory Whiskey Single Malt and Blended Japanese Whiskey. 43% alcohol by volume. Copyright 2025 Suntory Global Spirits Import Company, Chicago, Illinois.
This is Ogodete in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And what I enjoy most about WhiskyCast is that it allows me to both explore the people and things and themes that I love about whiskey and to discover new things, to discover new kinds of whiskey, to discover new histories, to learn about new people that are involved in the making of this wonderful tradition. So thank you, Mark, and congratulations on this wonderful anniversary.
Well, hey, Mark. Ken Goldenberg here. I wanted to congratulate you on 20 years of the WhiskyCast podcast. I've been listening for about 15 years of those. I don't really remember how I found it. I think it just simply Googled a podcast on whiskey and yours came up. But I've enjoyed it ever since for these 15 years I've been listening, and I have learned so much. So cheers to you, your entire team, and everyone who listens to your wonderful podcasts. Take care.
Thanks for the kind words, guys. WhiskyCast In-Depth is brought to you by Glendalough Irish Whiskey. Tamdhu Distillery is one of those distilleries that was mothballed for significant parts of its history, most recently in 2010 when it was owned by Edrington. It was sold a year or so later to Ian MacLeod Distillers, and the future is now bright for the Speyside Distillery. Sandy McIntyre, known as Big Mac to his friends, is the distillery manager, and we sat down Wednesday in New York City for a chat and, of course, a tasting. First of all, let's talk about the new Tamdhu 21-year-old. Tell me about it.
Yeah, we launched it earlier on this year back at Tamdhu, back in Speyside. That was back end of April, start of May. I was very keen for it to be launched locally for us rather than out in Asia. And we've only recently, just at the end of September, brought it across here to the US. So, again, like every other Tamdhu, we do only ever matured in sherry casks, only ever Oloroso, and only ever natural colour. I know those are the key messages that I always try and get across to anybody. Exclusive Oloroso, exclusive sherry maturation, beginning to end, and then that natural colour. What we've done with the 21, though, is different from the 18. It could be so easy just to have a continuation of the 18 and make the 21 just another 3 years older and give the exact same in terms of that style of sherry maturation. But what you get with the 21, we've got some here for you to try, obviously, is actually, I actually classify it as 2 whiskies in the 1 bottle. And it's the way that we've done the ratios of the American oak, Quercus alba, and the European oak, Quercus robur. And it gives you that initial hit, the front of the tongue from the American oak. So that lovely sweetness, the vanilla, is a wee bit of fudge, as I would call it back in Scotland. And then a few 5-10 seconds afterwards, further back in the tongue, you're getting the hit from the European oak. So you're getting that more intense flavours. So as I say, it's like 2 whiskies in 1. It's an absolute your word I would use in Scotland, don't know whether it works here, and actually the US is a belter. Yeah, it's a belter. Using my good Glasgow accent.
Why only sherry casks?
Tamdhu, well, there's 2 things to that. One is one of the pieces of memorabilia, the archive we've got for Tamdhu, shows the very first casks that were delivered to Tamdhu way back in 1898. I would have brought the book with me, actually, but I actually did mean to bring it, but forgot about it. Showed the delivery of sherry casks. That was typically what was always used in Speyside for the maturation of Scotch whisky. So we've wanted to continue with that, and we feel that that's true to Speyside whiskies, feel it's true to the brand of Tamdhu. But also within that as well, our new make spirit, again, we've got some of that here for you to try, is intensely fruity. It's like bursting out the bottle at you. It's like, come and smell me. Come and experience me. So that fruitiness of our new make works in and basically matches up perfectly with the Oloroso, the style, that fruitiness you're getting from the Oloroso. So the 2 work hand in hand and give us this exceptional high quality finished product.
You mentioned 1898. Tell me about the history of Tamdhu.
Tamdhu, it's been a funny one over the years, to be quite honest with you. Started to be back, actually 1897 it was one of the Walkers from the Walker brothers, Johnny Walkers, one of the Grants from William Grant's at Glenfiddich these days, and I've forgotten who Dewar, one of the Dewars from Dewar's Whisky as well. I don't know, it was Tommy Dewar, I think it was, maybe, or one of his sons. Wealthy, a lot of money going about, even in whisky back in those days. There was this phenomenal growth in Speyside, particularly around the Victorian age of the sort of 1890s, 1897. I think there was about 6 or 7 distilleries actually started in Speyside in the same year. But those guys came together, got the money, they wanted to build a modern, efficient, sophisticated distillery. So they employed the architect called Charles Doig, renowned in Scotland for the pagoda-style roofs for the malting process. And they got Doig to design this modern showcase distillery. Got the money together, brought the distillery into production in 1898, was the first casks, as I say. And through the years, I've got a letter with me, I actually found in my book, there was problems with some water in the early 1900s. They actually questioned us what they were going to continue the operation of Tamdhu just down to water quality, strangely enough. They use, and we still use, a spring from underneath the distillery for our water source. But into the early 1900s, 1908, 1910, let's say this question around water, it was then sold across to Highland distillers, who subsequently became Edrington, if you know Edrington Macallan and Highland, let's call them Highland just for easiness sake. Late 1919, 1920, quite a bad fire. The pagoda-style roof went up in fire, actually. Into the mid-1920s, late 1920s, again, depression over here in the US, problems back in the UK as well, and the distillery shut. And it was closed then until the back end of the Second World War. Reopened again, and most of the staff back in that 1920s, a lot of them were moved down to Aberfeldy, down to distilleries down near the central belt of Scotland. But 1947-48, distillery reopened. They that time built on a Saladin box maltings, which was and would have continued to be very, very impressive, and very modern and advanced of its day. Back into production, continued again through to pretty much, let's say, in Highland's hands up until 2010. And again, I was in the industry since 2006. But at that time, most distillers were expanding production, doubling production, building new distilleries even. But Highland at that time decided to come in one Monday morning and close both the maltings and the distillery. Very, very unexpected. Why? Who knows? It's not for me to answer that. Wasn't there at the time. But it was very fortunate because what that allowed to happen was the distillery was mothballed, put up for sale. And the company I worked for, Ian MacLeod Distillers, already had a relationship with Highland because they'd bought Glengoyne back in 2002, 2003. So when the opportunity was there to buy Tamdhu, they took that chance. Bought it, brought it back into production, started January 2012. And to be honest with you, we've spent money in terms of of improving the site, but what we've continued to do is make the same style of new make spirit and use exactly the same casks and build a brand around that. And so what we've got now is this exclusively sherry matured whiskey. So it's very much exactly in the same style as it was and using exactly the same type of casks as is used at Macallan, because that was where the relationship was previously anyway. So same cask suppliers that get into Macallan are exactly the same cask suppliers that we're using at Tamdhu.
Now, you sell 15, 18 in batch strength plus a cigar malt.
A few others in amongst that, yeah. We've got 12-year-old. 12-year-olds at the start of our kind of core range. 12 at 43%. We then move up to the 15 at 46. The 18 was just over 3 years ago now, let's say. 21, say, just recently. The batch strength series is, to me, a very underrated whiskey. It doesn't really get I would say the kudos that it deserves, and I'll tell you why. And I'm not a salesperson, right? Let's be completely clear about that from the very beginning of this. I'm a production person. I'm a person and I'm a Scottish person, so I look for value for money in terms of where my bang for my buck, basically. And I think this is where the batch strength series is very overlooked. We can't call it cask strength because it isn't cask strength. Let's be clear and explain what that is. So the batch strength is whiskey that we have reduced the strength of down to a strength that we feel is the correct strength for that liquid. So it's generally around 57 to 59% alcohol. So typically at that same strength that you would maybe find a cask strength, but we cannot call it cask strength because we have adjusted that. And for me, it's a non-aged whiskey. And again, let's be clear about that, because there is some fantastic blended whiskies out there still, but there's some fantastic non-aged whiskies as well. And it frustrates me immensely when people don't explore them. And I'm not just speaking about Tamdhu. There's some absolute crackers of whiskies there that people are put off because they don't see a number on it in terms of an age. And we need to get past that as an industry. We need to educate the consumer. We need to educate the consumer that it's not all about colour. It's not all about age. It's actually about flavours. If you are going to good whiskey specialist shops, going to good bars, the staff should be aware of what the flavours are. The good whiskey liquor stores should be able to give you some samples to try before you buy. Those are the places we need to go. So the batch strength, very, very overlooked because it's actually very good value. We also do, you rightly said, the cigar malt. Cigar malt is up there. It's exclusively all first fill European oak casks. So it's the best of the best. Non-aged, but the best of the best. It's the real sherry bomb that you get. Also, though, we've got another couple of products that we have. One called Tamdhu Dedication. I should say Distinction. I apologise. Distinction. Dedication's our society. Distinction is where we're trying to explore around the differences between American oak and European oak. People automatically think sherry matured whiskey is sherry bombs. It's smacking you in the back of the head. It's like, boom, I'm here, full packed of flavour. Tamdhu Distinction is where we have explored the use of Quercus alba, American oak. It's been sherry seasoned, the wood, so it's gone through exactly the same process as our European oak, but the flavours that brings is an awful lot softer. So a lot more of the vanillas, that soft, some even citrus notes in there still, some pears, even a hint of coconut at times. And it's not what people typically associate with sherry maturation. So it introduces a slightly different flavour, not to confuse people, but to try and educate people that it doesn't need to be the sherry bomb that you get from the European oak style. So Tamdhu Distinction's an absolute cracker. It's my go-to whiskey. I've got to say that. If I've get guests or in our VIP house and I'm having a dram, that's the one I pick up. I love American oak style whiskey. That it's whiskey you can drink any time of the day. European oak is very much a wee bit more special than 1 or 2 drams rather than 6 or 7.
Why do you like American oak so much?
I guess it's the Scottish palate for me. We love sweet things, or at least I do. So the chocolate, the sugary drinks,
sticky toffee pudding.
Sticky toffee pudding, all those things that are bad for you. I mean, you only need to look at this tummy that I've got in front of me here with you, Mark, to actually see that it's all the wrong things I eat. So it's a lighter, more delicate flavour. But also on top of that, it allows some of the distillery character to still be present in the finished product. And I think that's actually quite an important thing. We work very, very hard within the distillery to be consistently delivering the same quality of spirit. The new make is this fruity. And different distilleries produce different styles. And for us, and for me personally, I like to see that flavour still being in my whiskey at the end of the maturation. And the American oak doesn't just do quite so much of the overpowering in terms of the influence and the flavours that it brings to the spirit after it's matured. So that's another reason why it's my go-to.
Tell me about your background. How did you get started in whiskey?
Well, it's an interesting one there. There's a few different stories I can go with there. I mean, if we want to go back to my family's days in terms of grandparents, my father's side of the family, they had bars in Glasgow area. My mother's side of the family, they were in the hospitality trade in hotels in the west coast of Scotland. So it's always kind of, I would have said, been in my blood. My dad, once the bars got sold, he actually became a wines and spirits merchant, going around different stores selling wines and spirits. But it wasn't an industry that I moved into initially. My background is as a chemist. I'm an environmental chemist. So I joined the Scottish Environment Agency, for want of a better word, then moved into an industry that maybe didn't have quite such nice samples. It was a wastewater industry. So my wife would say to me when I got home every night, take my clothes off at the back door, but not for the reason that was the nice one. It was more so because my clothes were stinking. So when the opportunity came along in 2006... Well, yeah, the opposite of Pete Rake. Yeah, exactly that. I was made redundant in 2006 and an opportunity was there in Diageo. And to be quite honest, I was saying it earlier on to somebody that, sometimes those opportunities where you feel as if your world's been torn apart actually are the best thing that's ever happened to you. And that opportunity where, my world was torn apart when I'd moved house and I had 2 young children, and suddenly I've got no job, and then next thing I'm in this industry that once you're in it, you just revel in it, and it's such a friendly industry, it's such a social industry. So since 2006 I've been going from strength to strength, and Tamdhu, the quality of the whiskey speaks for itself. To be quite honest with you, once people drink this stuff, it's like, why has nobody ever given me this before? So being at Tamdhu with the team that I've got around me, and enthusiasm and passion, and we have lots of fun. We have lots and lots of fun when we're making our product, which is what it's about. That's the reason why we make it as well, so as other people can have fun. So I'm in a great place. I'm just, so enjoyable every day.
Your distillery is only open to the public 1 week a year during the Speyside Festival, right?
Yeah, you're bang on. It's sometimes it's a wee bit of the places that you want to go being a wee bit difficult to go to makes them more desirable, is one thing I'll say. But Tamdhu, there was a visitor centre there up until probably the late 1990s in our old Victorian railway station. There used to be a railway station at the distillery. It's now no longer any trains there. But it was closed by Highland Distillers, and we've got no intention of reopening a visitor centre. Primarily because there are so many well-known brands round about Tamdhu. We've got Cardew on our doorstep, Macallan, Glenfiddich, Glengrant, Glenlivet, all these real big hitters is what I would have said on our doorstep. Tamdhu's a wee bit more out the way. I don't really know whether we would get many visitors knocking our door. We do at certain times of the year, yes, But as it currently stands, we're not planning on doing anything around a visitor centre. But what it does do then is make those tickets for the Whisky Festival very, very desirable. So they sell out in, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And the thing that never fails to amaze me is there's one of those days we have quite a specialist event, usually maybe about 200 quid, £200 to attend that, £250. But there's people that come back, somehow manage to get a ticket the following year and the following year. So we get people coming back 3 or 4 years in a row. And the distillery hasn't changed. The distillery buildings, the process, the things that we talk about haven't really changed. But it's because they enjoy the openness, the friendliness, the whiskey. They enjoy spending time at Tamdhu. So we actually now have quite I would call a loyal friend base who come along just at the Whisky Festival each year. So it's lovely. And they are friends. There's some that I correspond. There's a lady and her husband I was corresponding with just a couple of weeks ago. There's a lady usually actually comes across from New York. She sails across on a cruise liner, her and her husband, and they always make an effort to try and attend the event at Tamdhu. And she's been 3-4 times now, and she's in her late 70s. And that to me delights me in a personal sense, is that they want to spend time with us, but also tells me that we've actually got great whiskey because they want to drink it with us as well. So what more can I ask for?
What's the best part of this job?
Wow, what's the best part of it? That's a really good question. Nobody has asked me that one question actually ever. The best part is actually the people that you work with. Is, I can go into the warehouses, and I shouldn't say this, but I will. I can go into the warehouses at Tamdhu 24 hours a day. I can sample from whatever cask I want in the warehouse any time of day. It's not about drinking all the whiskey in the warehouses and sampling all them. It's actually having the fun with the team that you work with. And I'm so lucky to we've got a team of 18 people, some of which, so Tamdhu, I actually live at Tamdhu. That's where my house is. So my commute to work, you're talking about getting trains and buses and metros or undergrounds round about. My commute to work is 118 steps. It extended because we moved our office last year. It extended by another 12 steps, I think it was, last year. Which is very difficult. Yeah, it's not doing anything for my belly. Suddenly, my tummy's not getting any smaller with that extra exercise. But so it is home to us. There's 10 houses we've got at site, and there's 6 of us actually live there. So it's more than just a place to work. It's that camaraderie and it's that fun that we have. So that's the best part of it, for sure.
Back in the day, the distillery manager was sort of like the mayor for the town because all the housing belonged to the distillery, and you had to work there to live there.
Yeah.
And the manager was sort of like the mayor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to change what you've said there, because I'm I'll call it the landlord for the houses. I was looking at another. I'll not be again. I don't tell any lies. I was looking at another job, 2 years ago, about now. And do you know what? That was in a completely different area of Scotland. And what you get as a distillery manager, certainly in Speyside is what I'll say, because it's a relatively small community as well. So you are known. People know who you are. And I don't mean this in any big-headed sense, not at all. You go into the local butcher shop and it's, "Oh, hi, Sandy, how are you today?" You go into the local bars, hotels, "Oh, Sandy, how are you?" And it's like a community, is what I would describe it as. Yeah. And that again brings you a sense of, not of achievement, but a wee bit of recognition that people know who you are. And if you move away from that, it's a totally different environment you're in then. So yeah, it's the industry is so important within Speyside in terms of the amount of people it employs, the number of distilleries that there are, that yeah, you become quite well known. And I've been very fortunate. I've won a couple of nice awards in my career. I won Distillery Manager of the Year, I think it was 2018. I managed to choose a single cask, American Oak, I hasten to add, which won the world's best single malt in 2019, I think that was. might get the years wrong, maybe 2019, 2020, I'm not going to argue. And then I was recognised for the Speyside Whisky Festival just a couple of years ago as well as a whisky ambassador for that. And I don't think that you would necessarily achieve that or some of those things if you didn't work for a small family company, which Ian McLeod's is, or within an organisation where you've got as much freedom to talk about our products, much freedom to explore them, and to have discussions like this with you, Mark.
How much new product development do you get into?
Again, it's a great thing about this small-sized company. So quite a lot is the first thing I'll say, and I'll expand upon that, is what I'm meaning. So things like our core range, our 12, 15, 18, 21, those products are passed up. We've got a blending team. They prepare the initial, I suppose, liquid for that, pass it up for me, and ultimately it's my name that's on the side of every bottle or package that we do. So it's me that said, yes, I'm happy for us to release this Tamdhu 21 product. The 21 from now on will be the same every time. But when it becomes new products like the batch strength, so the samples come up to me, it's me then that's saying, yeah, this is what we'll choose for batch strength this year. So part of that can be what mood I'm in on the day. Some of it is looking at what market is for. So we do a release for the Chinese lunar calendar years. So a couple of years ago was the Year of the Dragon. And I was very much thinking, right, okay, what would be my expectations around that whiskey? The Year of the Dragon is the most important in that Chinese lunar calendar. So for me, I wanted that to be quite a powerful whiskey to represent the dragon and also be the showcase of the lunar year releases. So again, it's the samples are coming up, and I'm saying this fits the bill or it doesn't. Go away and prepare something else. We're looking at a product that we do each year for the Whisky Festival at Speyside. We call it Dalby Alley. We only do 1,000 bottles of it. So I'm expecting when I return from the US to see some product that we'll be selecting for Dalby Alley number 9. Another project I'm getting involved with is with the team from Tamdhu, looking about selecting a single cask for next year. So we did that 10 years ago, and we're looking to do that again now. The situation when we did it 10 years ago, we had a lot of fun. There was 15 of us at that time. We did blindfolds and put all the samples out on the table, and it was the majority of the team chose a European oak cask. I didn't. I chose an American. But it's like, well, what do you do then? Do you as the manager, do you pull rank and say, no, we're choosing the release that I want, or do you choose with the team? But it was a team. So we actually bottled the team's choice, and then the following year we bottled my choice. So yeah, getting very much involved in all that. And it's a joy, as I say, of being with a relatively small company. You are involved. We're doing some work with a very special release in probably 2 years from now. And we've just been speaking, and I've had a meeting at Tamdhu with a glass designer, and I'm going to see his premises again just on the 27th, 28th of November when I return, going up to visit him at his glass blowing studios. So it's great. You get involved in all these things. It's magic.
Let's taste some whiskey.
Let's go for it. Yeah, can we? Let's just give you a wee taste of the Tamdhu new make just to get you started, okay? Because
tasting new make.
Well, it's one of these things that I very much look at other people's faces when they're actually having new make. Tamdhu new make fruity is the character we're looking for. So excuse me a minute, I'll just give you a wee drop of this. So this is 63.5. This was filling strength back in April this year, and the Tamdhu new make is intensely fruity. It's got citrus notes. There's vanilla in there already. There's pear in there already as well.
I'm getting some pear candies.
Yeah. It's a pear that very much comes to the forefront many times that I'm picking up on it. Oh. And have a wee sip of it. You obviously don't need to gulp new make down. It's clear it, as we would call it back in the UK. And just let this into your mouth, because again, even the new make spirit is quite soft. and mellow. It doesn't give you massive throat burn. And I'm watching your face as we're doing this right now, because other distilleries I've worked at, you give somebody the new make and their faces crunch up as if like, what the hell are you trying to do? You try to poison me type thing. But you don't get that with Tamdhu.
No.
And
that's very fruity.
And this is why I very much like only putting this in American oak, because it still brings some of these fruitiness flavours from the new make into the mature spirit at the end of it. So, cheers.
Cheers.
Mm. Obviously, up at the 70% marker, so that's like a wee bit more harsh, but 63.5 passes over your throat, no problem at all.
Just had to cough. I had a cold.
That's all right, no problem at all. So long as we weren't poisoning you, that's the important thing.
No, that'll cure the cold. Very good, very drinkable new make.
It is. And actually, I've had people ask, particularly females, asking, can we get this somehow for the base for cocktails? We don't bottle or cleric or anything like that. There's some that bottle as aquavitae and whatever else but we've never had a real reason to do that. But perfectly delightful. What I've got here in front of us, we've got a couple of bottlings that we had over here in the US, a American oak cask, a 2004 cask, and then we've got a European 2003 cask. But I also have just brought with me, literally in the last day or so, another couple of single casks, a 2003 and a 2007, respectively European and American. So there's only a little in here. So let's empty some bottles. There's nothing better than emptying a bottle.
No, nothing better.
So this is American oak, and as I said before, this is my go-to in terms of style. We better leave them a little behind, will we? Hardly worth leaving that in a bottle, but... So 2004, this was sampled back in 2023. So at the time it would have been an 18, 19-year-old probably, or 19-year-old. So not quite hitting the sort of 20 mark at that stage. But it's more to give the demonstration around colours and flavours that we explore around some of these single casks that we bring across. This was never released as a single cask. It is simply to show you the colour. So it's more this golden colour that we get from American oak, rather than the rich, dark, ruby colour that we're getting from European. And then actually to explore the flavours. So, cheers with this one. We're up at 58.9%. So, wee bit of coconut and a banana. Green banana is what I get from it. Vanilla's obviously from the American. And this is going to hit the front of the tongue and bring that lovely sweetness that we get from American oak.
Yeah, it hits the front of the tongue. I'm getting the green banana. I'm getting vanilla pods. Just a touch of spice.
You still get a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of the fruitiness. I'll actually call it more a green apple from the new make spirit, as opposed to the pear side of it. And then you get this lovely mellow finish on it. It lingers. It just bounces around the mouth and just stays present there. And it's the smoothness that I love about Tamdhu. Actually, if I was to pick out one particular thing about Tamdhu, it's smoothness.
Where should we go from here?
Well, we've got to just go to the opposite end of the spectrum. So, and this is where, again, people automatically think when we talk about sherry maturation, we're into the sherry bombs. And this is very much more like the sherry bomb. So we're into European oak this time round. This is 20-year-old. The 2003 casks are actually really, really, really good quality casks, actually. So, again, this is whiskey that was made by Highland, or I'll give you a bit more in that glass, actually, or back in Edrington's days. Cask type, European oak from a supplier called Tavasa, who owner of it is a guy called Narciso. And I'll leave them a wee dribble again. What Narciso doesn't know about wood is isn't worth knowing, if I'm honest with you. Cheers. So this time round, again, similar strength. We're up at 59.7. But on the nose, totally different. I mean, the colour, we can see here, totally different in terms of this ruby red coming rather than the golden that we get from the American oaks. We're into Quercus.
It's like a dark clover honey.
Yeah, we're into Quercus robur now. And, far more intense on the nose. A hint of, ripened banana this time round. A bit of cloves or dates, even cinnamon. And then get it into the mouth. Wow.
Oh, that's good.
What I'm thinking is the burnt sugar on top of a creme brulee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sort of crystallised brown sugar. I've got butterscotch there as well. I've got dates, sultanas, Christmas cake, which is typical from the European oak. Let's face it, the European oak. So let's not deny that. But again, still so smooth, up at 59.7 strength wise. No throat burn on it. Back of the tongue, just that intensity of flavours into your mouth.
It's very smooth, very drinkable. I get the Christmas cake.
Yeah, it's funny because again, some areas, I always find it's interesting when you're doing events, doing tastings. You go to Asia, they don't know what Christmas cake is. Yeah. You've got to kind of elaborate that around the sultanas, the dates inside of it. But it just typifies it, that intensity of flavours, the whole burst in your mouth.
In the US, we'd refer to it as fruitcake.
Fruitcake, okay. Well, that's handy to know as well then. But what we then move on to is the 21 that we're launching and just have launched. So I'll get this out the box here and put this to the side a wee bit. Bring this over. So the 21 brings both of these together. And this is the joy of using the American oak and the European oak. Because what I describe it as, it's like having the ingredients to a recipe. We've got first fill casks, we've got refill casks, we've got hogsheads, we've got butts, we've got European oak, we've got American oak. And using them in different ratios allows the range of A colours and B flavours to come into the final product. And I always said it was going to be a difficult job to produce a whisky as good or better than Tamdhu 18. Tamdhu 18 was 3 years ago, obviously, and it was a whisky that is very, very, very heavily influenced towards European oak. So Tamdhu 18, we're up at around 70%, 72% of first fill European oak, 25% of American oak, and then a very, very small percentage of refill casks. Now, it would have been so easy, as I said before, just to make the 21 a whisky 3 years older than that. Yeah. But I didn't want that to be the case. So it was one of the tasks that I asked the blending team to do is say, well, listen, let's try and do something different. 18's a creamy whisky, 21's an oily whisky. And as I described it earlier, what we've got this time round is actually these two whiskies in one. We've got around 62-63% of first fill European. We've got around 27% of first fill American. And then that small remainder, 10-12% of refill casks. So what we get this time around, once we get it into our mouth, never mind the nose part of it, but once we get it into our mouth, we're going to get the initial hit at the front of the tongue from the American oak, and then around 5-10 seconds later, further back in the mouth, on the back of the tongue, the hit coming from the European oak. So this is where I'm saying it's like two whiskies in one. But you nose it, oh yeah, it's decadent, it's rich.
Yeah, getting fudge.
Yep. Caramelised apple.
Yeah.
Toffee apple. It's one that I'm getting just now. Again, the sultanas, but again, that's coming from the European. We're up at 47.5% strength here. So, again, not high strength. But let's get this into the mouth as well, see how we go with this. Front of the tongue, back of the tongue.
Yeah.
You can see it in the glass with the legs a wee bit more oily there, even at that 47. I mean, you normally get that with higher strength whiskies, the legs on the whiskey coming down the glass. To me, and the finish just is still going round my mouth right now, actually. And that's a good 20 seconds. Finish. Yeah, about 20, 30 seconds after I actually swallowed that. I'm still going to get in there. And it just typifies Tamdhu, to be quite honest with you. Just cherry, but presence, long finish, great mouthfeel, and flavour.
It's stunning.
Thank you. And this is one of the other things that is whilst it's my name, it's on the side of a bottle or a package. It's not just me, and this is what I always talk back to: is this is a team here. This is a team, obviously 21 years ago for a start. So one of my team would have still been there, that's here now would still have been there. The manager that was there at the time, actually coincidentally, was also called Sandy Coots. So it's great credit to them, but it's also great credit to our blending team to actually marry up these different casks to give us this exceptional whiskey.
Well, thank you for letting me try it.
Well, I'm delighted. We've got something a wee bit special for you as well here.
Okay.
I would like you maybe to have a wee sample of, just because since we've got you in the room.
And we are celebrating an anniversary today. Today is 20th anniversary of the very first Whiskey Cast episode.
Oh, wow. Oh, well. What a great delight to be able to celebrate that with you, and thank you.
So, yeah. We
21st. Well, it's a shame it's not a Tamdhu 42-year-old, but what we've actually got for you here is a Tamdhu 43-year-old.
Ooh.
So this is quite a special whiskey for us. It is a sample bottling I've got. It's not one of the showcase bottles that is all the lovely packaging and such like. But again, like every other Tamdhu, natural colour, and we've got a lovely dark whiskey here.
Oh, dark.
I can just see through it. But this here is two different casks that have been put together to make our Tamdhu 43. So I think Have we got one other? Oh, it's an empty still. It's a clean. I'll do a happy birthday with you if you don't mind. Just let me drop with that one. So this is Tamdhu 43. It was released the back end of last year, actually, globally. I think it retails somewhere around 16k a bottle, if I remember rightly, or 13k a bottle, UK. But this is from some of our high-aged whiskies at Tamdhu, and we have a few. I'm working on another one just now, as I said. But happy birthday to the podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. There's some whiskies that I get as much pleasure just nosing them as I do of drinking them. Yeah. And this is one of them.
Getting a little bit of tobacco on the nose.
It's a wee bit more tanniny. Just again, we're in European oak, but that wee bit older, a little drier, rather than the younger statements that we get around the 15, 18s, etc., 21s.
Some dried fig.
Yeah. You'll feel the dryness coming into the mouth there, the tannins. But it's still got good flavour. It's not too dry. We do have actually the oldest cask we have at Tamdhu is what I would have described as it's fallen off the cliff. It's now the wood has taken over from the liquid in there. So we actually use it to talk about overaging and actually saying, well, you know what, it's not always about the oldest is the best.
Yeah.
It looks like Coca-Cola. So again, we use it to describe it's not always about colour. It's not always about age. You can leave it for too long. And that's what's happened to that cask. But this time round, we've just done it at the right time, pulled these two casks together, 43, and we've created something that's a wee bit special as well. So happy birthday again.
Thank you. Thanks to Tamdhu Distillery Manager Sandy McIntyre for helping me mark the 20th anniversary of WhiskyCast with some special drams. That's WhiskyCast In-Depth, brought to you by Glendalough Irish Whiskey.
Our story begins in the wilds of County Wicklow, the Garden of Ireland, a place where nature moves slowly and meaningfully. Some whiskies blend in. Glendalough Double Barrel stands apart. I'm Rowdy Rooney, head distiller here at Glendalough, and I personally oversee our whisky making process from start to finish. We do things slowly, and we do them right. We start with a smooth, single-grain Irish whisky. We age it in flame-charred American oak for soft vanilla and a honeyed depth. Then we finish it in Oloroso casks from a small bodega in Spain. Casks we season and ship ourselves to make sure the wood is still alive with character when it arrives. That kind of care gives Glendalough Double Barrel its rich layers of dried fruit, warm spice and signature smoothness. This is a whisky at its own pace, and it's worth every second. This is Glendalough Double Barrel, crafted to stand apart.
Hi, Mark. We got married in March 2006, and one of the gifts we were given was an iPod. And I found out about this new thing called a podcast, and I found WhiskyCast. And I've been listening to it ever since. During that time, you've mentioned our daughter being born on the show. And here we are, and she's driving now, and we're about to have our 20th anniversary next year. So congratulations. It's been a fantastic part of my own whiskey journey, and I'm looking forward to the years to come.
That's Scott Mansfield listening in Australia, and happy early anniversary to you and your wife. Let's begin the What I'm Tasting This Week department with the new Tamdhu 21-year-old that I tasted with Sandy McIntyre. It's bottled at 47.5% ABV, and the nose has touches of figs, sultanas, clover honey, and Christmas cake. The taste has subtle spices, honey, figs, sultanas, dark chocolate, and a peppery touch on the tip of the tongue. The finish is long, oaky, and smooth. I'm scoring the Tamdhu 21-year-old a 94. Sandy surprised me with the Tamdhu 43-year-old. It's bottled at 50.8% ABV, and the nose has notes of tobacco, leather, Christmas cake, honey, and subtle spices. The taste is thick and oily with notes of cardamom, honey, and Christmas cake, while the finish is long and sweet. I'm scoring the Tamdhu 43-year-old a 93. Finally, let's look at the new Toki Black Blended Whiskey from Suntory. It's bottled at 43% ABV, and the blend has some peated Hakushu single malt in it. The nose has citrus fruits, a kiss of smoke, and vanilla. The taste is smoky and peppery with notes of honey and citrus fruits that add balance and complexity, while the finish is long and smoky with a touch of grilled fruits. I'm scoring Suntory's Toki Black a 92, and we need to note that the House of Suntory is a sponsor of WhiskyCast. I'll be adding these whiskeys to our searchable list of nearly 3,900 different whiskeys from all around the world. Check it out this week at whiskycast.com.
Hey again, it's Gabriel from Jewers. Every holiday has that moment when the food's done and the talking, laughing, and sipping begins. That's where the perfect gift shows up. Jewers 12-year-old. Finished in first fill, unrinsed bourbon casks, and crafted by 6-time Master Blender of the Year, Stephanie McLeod. It's the highest rated 12-year blended scotch out there. A gift that speaks for itself. Because holidays aren't about the gifts we keep, they're about the ones we share. Please enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025, Jewers is a trademark. Imported by John Dewar & Sons Company, Coral Gables, Florida. Blended Scotch whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume.
Let's open up the WhiskyCast community app now and see what people are talking about this week in our community segment. Scott Rogers of Madison, Wisconsin posted this note in the WhiskyCast community app after last week's interview with Kim Muller-Elshard on the Danish Whiskey Manifesto. Timely, our Whiskey Club's November theme is European whiskey. Not sure if we'll have any Danish bottles on the table, French, Finnish, and Israeli for sure, but I'll be an informed taster if any Danes are opened. He sent along this update. The winner of the bottle of the night was almost unanimously a Danish single malt made from Danish grain. Scott sent along this message Sunday morning after their club's meeting.
This is the Single Malt Society of Madison, Wisconsin. Mark, Christine, and the whole WhiskyCast crew, thank you for bringing us the whiskey news and for building the whiskey community. Happy anniversary! Congratulations on 20 years!
Thank you for the anniversary wishes, gang. We also got an anniversary message from longtime listener Ian Bruce in Western Australia.
Hello, Mark and the team at WhiskyCast. Just want to say congratulations on your 20-year anniversary from all the way from Western Australia. I've been listening in since living in Scotland, and I really hope that the programme keeps going from strength to strength. All the best, Slanja.
And finally, this message from Peter Sprunger in Washington, D.C.
Hi, Mark. It's Pete Sprunger. I have a healthy library of whiskey books with names like Dave Broom, Michael Jackson, and Lou Bryson gracing the spines. But when it comes to podcasts, there is only one name, Mark Gillespie at WhiskyCast. That's the name I go back to each week, month after month, year after year, and over these years, WhiskyCast has educated me more than all of my books combined. So Mark and Christina, thank you for all you've done for the whiskey community, all the education, awareness, and entertainment. Congratulations on 20 years and wishing you many more. Sláinte.
Thanks to everyone who sent us congratulations this week as we begin year 21 of WhiskyCast. If there's anything you'd like to share with whiskey lovers around the world, download the free WhiskyCast community app from your app store and join the conversation. You can also find us on social media. Look for WhiskyCast on Threads, X, Blue Sky, Instagram, and Facebook. And once again, our email address is comments@whiskycast.com. Let's close out the show now with Behind the Label, our look at the history, science, and people who make whiskey unique. If you take the train from Glasgow to Edinburgh, when you pass through the town of Linlithgow, you'll go right by what's left of the old Linlithgow distillery, better known as St. Magdalen. It was built back in 1795 and was one of 5 distilleries in the town of Linlithgow. The Distillers Company Limited acquired the distillery back in 1912, and at peak production, its 5 stills could produce more than 1 million liters of alcohol per year. The DCL shut down St. Magdalen in 1983 as part of a wave of distillery closings around Scotland. The site sat idle for 10 years, but has since been turned into housing flats that maintain much of the distillery's character to this day. I'll be presenting a Gordon and MacPhail Connoisseur's Choice bottling of a 1965 St. Magdalen this coming Saturday as part of a master class with whiskeys from closed distilleries at the New Brunswick Spirits Festival. If there's something you'd like us to look at on an upcoming episode, just get in touch with us. That's all for this episode of WhiskyCast. You'll find links for the stories in this episode in our show notes at whiskycast.com. That's also where you'll find the latest whiskey news, my tasting notes, the calendar of events, the whiskey photo of the week, and of course a complete archive of past episodes going all the way back to 2005. Get in touch with us, download the free WhiskyCast community app from your app store, or find us on social media. We're on X, Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, and Facebook at WhiskyCast, and our email address is comments@whiskycast.com. Crafted with time, shaped by nature, perfected by generations. From Yamazaki to Hibiki to Hakushu, every drop of House of Suntory whiskey is a reflection of where it comes from. House of Suntory, this is Japanese whiskey.
Enjoy responsibly. Suntory Whiskey Single Malt and Blended Japanese Whiskey. 43% alcohol by volume. Copyright 2025 Suntory Global Spirits Import Company, Chicago, Illinois.
Food's gone, stories are flying, and everyone's laughing a little too loud. That's when Dewar's 12-year-old feels right at home. Enjoy the holidays from your friends at Dewar's.
WhiskyCast is a production of Cask Strength Media, copyright 2025, and has come to you for the last 20 years from the charming, yet regrettably dry town of Haddonfield, New Jersey. I'm Mark Gillespie, reminding you that when you drink, please drink responsibly. Thanks for listening.